so many twists and turns. It's going to be something else in the second.
Embiid cans a three and floats it in. Picture perfect jam.
Playing with the basketball, Brunson has been the closer.
Maxey with a herky-jerky moves. Oh, he spins it in. Swing hard. He connects. It's over. War of attrition is won by the Knicks.
No matter what the situation is, we're going to attack it. We're going to go out there. We're going to play our style of basketball. We're going to grind. We just know that every situation is different, and we need to approach it with the same mentality.
It's an unbelievable series, one of the great first-round series that you will ever see, and we need to get to the Sixers side of this because there's very bad news, but there might be equally good news, and we'll get to that in a minute. But first, Jay Will, I know you want to go over the last sequence, the one that the Knicks get the game-winning shot.
It's just so bad, the lack of discipline here and how you execute this. And just watch this video. Watch Kelly Oubre. Kelly Oubre, I'm going to be very active during our segment. Kelly Oubre right here, you're going to see guarding that little pin down. They're going to switch to action, and Nicholas Batum. Just watch these two down the stretch in the last 34.9 seconds left in the game. By the way, the ball hasn't been inbounded yet, 24 seconds on the shot clock. Pin down, here comes here comes here. Now, okay. Now, this little action. You're going to see a screen here, okay? Now, Kelly Oubre right here guarding that. He's going to want to take Jalen Brunson. You're going to see him come out here. Nicholas Batum is going to stay on Jalen Brunson as well. He's going to slip this screen. Why are you doubling with this amount of time left to go in the game? Boom. Why? 1, 2 here. 23 seconds left to go in the game.
In the shot clock.
Why are you going to put your in the shot clock with 34.1 seconds left to go to the game? Why are you putting your team in a scat mode? Right? Play develops. Boom. Do you see here? Comes out. Okay, now he flattens out. He gets back. Right? Perfect. He gets back here. Switch. That's a switch. Now watch this off the switch, Greeny. Here. Why play up on this? Why not flatten out? Once again, 30 seconds left to go in the game. 19 seconds left to go in the shot clock. It's a tie game. Why not flatten out? Look at Nicholas Batum come over. He's chasing. They're going to double him again. Why? It's too early. Let there be some end of game action. Let there be a high pick and roll. Let's see what the defense is actually going to give you, or Jalen Brunson is going to take some time to assess. Why are you pressing up? Drop off. Make him make a decision. But you press up, he turns the corner, boom, three-point shot, ball fake, great recognition by Josh Hart. But why even put yourself in that position so early in the game?
But bottom line,
it makes no sense at all.
They were playing the defense as though they're in desperation. And whatever they're going to do, they're going to get the ball out of Brunson's hands. And you're telling me with that much time left, they don't need to do it.
But why get the ball out of his hands with 24 seconds left to go in the shot clock?
That's what I mean.
Right? So the ball gets inbounded. Right? Jalen Brunson's going to take a second to assess the court. Let that time go up. Okay, if that's going to be a high pick and roll, even if it goes to an ISO, you're not getting into your action until 17, 18 on the shot clock. Then you throw the double team at him. Then you scatter. But why double team off the top?
It was the sequence there again. It was tied, and so that it did look like a defense you might go to if you were trailing in that moment. Right. The game is tied. A little later, we'll also analyze the last play Philadelphia ran because that one I thought made even less sense. All of that said, Tyrese Maxey becomes a huge part of the story here. His heroics in Game 5 now, I'm not going to say they're forgotten, but certainly they don't live forever in the way they would have if the Sixers had come back to win. He struggled last night, scoring just 17 points. For the series, he was phenomenal. Averaged just under 30. Unfortunately, again, on the closeout game, 6 of 18 from the floor, and 1 of 6 from behind the arc. So there are two stars in Philadelphia. Let's start with Joel Embiid. You know, it's an expression that I like because I love Batman, which was yesterday's topic. But, Wendy, as they said in The Dark Knight, you either die a hero or you live long enough to become the villain. How do we assess Joel Embiid gutting it out like crazy for his team, coming back with the meniscus when no one would have blinked if he hadn't come back this season, dragging his leg up and down the floor, playing with the Bell's palsy, playing with the migraine and everything else, and yet I feel like so much negativity heaped upon him. What are the right things to say about Embiid today?
Yeah, so what's the issue is the Sixers have yet again failed to advance to the conference finals, which they haven't in literally decades, and they haven't been able to do for Embiid's career. But yet again, it's due to injuries. Embiid has gotten hurt in the postseason year after year. This year, he got hurt at midseason. The reason this was such an incredible series because it wasn't a first-round series. This talent level of these two teams was more appropriate of a second or a conference finals, and they were a 7 seed because of Embiid's injury. So That is an unfortunate reality. This is not an upset loss whatsoever. To the 76ers, they lost to an excellent team that they probably shouldn't have had to play in the first round, but this is what it is with Embiid. And so I think, if anything else, the one thing you take away from the season, if you're the Sixers, at the start, you didn't know what was going to happen with James Harden. You didn't know how you were going to replace him. Well, you replaced him with a player much younger and much more dynamic in Tyrese Maxey. And going forward, you know who your two cornerstones are, and you can build around that.
All right, before I get to the Sixers outlook here, let me get to Chiney on Embiid, because he's one of the NBA's great stars. And again, it was a confounding series to try and put into perspective. What do you want to say about Embiid this morning, Chiney?
Look, the only reason I see, based off of this season, that people can portray him as a villain is maybe some of those not cute plays that happened in this series, those fouls. Some people said borderline a little bit dirty, right? He said he had to protect himself. But other than that, if you remove that, we saw Joel Embiid do everything, with the exception of, his availability late in the season, that he possibly could to muster together the fabric, the foundation of a championship squad. He showed up when it mattered most. In the season, he had more points than minutes played. And then on top of it, we found a running mate in Tyrese Maxey, whom I voted as most improved, who has emerged as an all-star and, as you mentioned, a cornerstone. It's looking good in Philly. Now, the biggest question is, how are you going to take pressure off of Joel Embiid? Because he can play through it, but he should not have to. That means you need to bring in another great player that complements the talents of Embiid and Maxey. That also means that you have to make sure that Joel Embiid doesn't feel like he has to put on these Herculean efforts overall with his body physically for them to be successful, because the most important goal is getting him to the finish line. If he gets there, we all know we're seeing a powerhouse team in the making.
Yeah, Hembo, can you put that pop back up there one more time? I think it's significant enough that I always worry people don't read them. For whatever it is he didn't do in this series, I mean, look at the plus minus. They were minus 47 in the 45 minutes he was on the bench. They went from being the better team in this series to by far worse when he wasn't on the floor. So, Alan, whatever it is he didn't do, his presence was incredibly significant.
On one leg, he was unguardable. I mean, they were throwing all kinds of bodies at him. He was absolutely unguardable in the paint. What I loved what they did in this game was they put him back on the post, and they were just clearing out, letting him play old school post-up basketball. He was unstoppable. And so it is exactly what Sinead just said, is getting him to the finish line has been the hardest thing for this team, because even when he has had healthy seasons, by the time he gets to the second round, it always looks like he's running out of gas. He doesn't have anything left, or he breaks his face, he hurts his knee, whatever it is, something always goes wrong.
Guys, I know we're talking a lot about Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. Joel Embiid is your cornerstone franchise player.
Right.
Tyrese Maxey is your rising star, is going to be a franchise player. Can we be honest about this? Tobias Harris, who is the third star, who averaged 18 points per game throughout the regular season, had a donut in this game. He's been averaging 9 points per game throughout the entire playoff series on 27% shooting from the three-point line. Your third best player needs to give you something in a game 6 when you need him to give you something the most.
He doesn't get any shots.
Let's be honest in that. We're being honest about
But Jay,
that.
he doesn't get shots.
He got two.
Doesn't get shots in this offense.
He got 2 field goal attempts.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think. Well, let's put it this way. I think there were a lot of Sixers fans who are going to be very happy to see that contract expire, which it now does, and that leads us to our next point.
You need to go get your guy in
Wizzy, take us through it. Bobby Marks tweeted that this is the most significant offseason in Sixers history. And there are a variety of reasons why. They got tradable draft picks. They've got almost $60 million in cap space.
Wow. Come on, Paul George.
They've got an attractive spot. Go ahead.